Daredevil Born Again finished up last week. I already have a full review of that. I have reviews for almost every single episode except like episode 9. I combined that in with the full review of the series. But today, I'm going to see which episodes are my favorite, which episodes are my least favorite, and we're going to do that in a ranking form. We are going to rank all 9 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. Before I dive right in, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell. Comment down below what is your ranking of each episode of Daredevil Born Again, and what did you think of the show as a whole. And stay tuned for a Daredevil Seasons ranked. We're going to rank Daredevil Season 1, 2, and 3 with the Defenders show and Born Again. So I would love to know all that. Stay tuned for that video. And with that said, let's get started with my ranking. Coming in last place, number 9, episode 1, Heaven's Happy Hour. Now, the only 2 episodes I'd say I wasn't the biggest fan of are number 9 and number 8. With episode 1 being my least favorite, Heaven's Happy Hour, I wasn't the biggest fan of this episode just because it took a while to get used to it. Now, it had one of the best things about the show so far, which was that Daredevil and Bullseye fight in the beginning that did result in Foggy Nelson getting killed. And so it started off the season on a bang. Started off like, oh, I mean, we kind of already knew that was going to happen, but that's shocking. It's shocking. It's something to get us started for the show. And then the episode didn't really do anything else. There wasn't really anything else that the episode stood out to. Took a while. Overall, the show took a while for me to get used to, mainly just because it was Disney Plus quality. It was such a different kind of quality from Daredevil season 3 and 2 and 1, where I literally watched Daredevil season 3. I finished it up a day before I started watching this show, and then like this show, it has such a different vibe than the original run of Daredevil. So it took a while for me getting used to, and that's why I have this one worse. Also, combined with this and what's going to be next, these 2 episodes felt a little bit rushed. Speaking of what's going to be next, my number 8 is going to be episode 2, Optics. When they released these first 2 episodes, I like I said, I was a little bit disappointed by it. It took a while for me to get used to. This one I liked a little bit more than episode 1 because the overall plot of the episode was more around following Hector Ariala and him murdering a cop, and we're trying to figure out, why he did it. What's his big deal? Oh, we found out he's White Tiger. And just the Kingpin stuff was a little bit more interesting. But still, the episode felt rushed. It felt like we were going from plotline, just like that. It felt like we didn't have time to slow down and breathe. And also just the distinct vibe was a little bit... I wasn't the biggest fan of the vibe as the show started out. Like I said when I was talking about episode 1, I was like... It took me a while to get used to what this show was doing. And episode 1 and 2, the 2 episodes they released, kind of left me off at a sour beginning. Fortunately, the show really did pick up after that. Those are the only 2 episodes I'd really give a negative score to. Coming in number 7th place, episode 5, With Interest. Now, this is a weird episode because episode 5 is the filler episode. And I think it's this low because considering where the show ended up at, it's a little bit frustrating that we got a filler episode in a show that should have been longer. You've seen my normal review, you know I was a little bit frustrated the way the show wrapped up. We'll talk about that a little more when we talk about episode 9. But it's a filler episode. A little bit frustrating that they put a filler episode here. I still think it's a good episode. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we get to see Matt go into a bank and stop bad guys. The way it ties into the plot is this was a guy that works for Wilson Fisk that owes another guy that works for Wilson Fisk money. He's just trying to get money here. And that's how it ties into the plot. But, I mean, it's fun to see Matt go into a bank, have to do Matthew Murdock Daredevil stuff without being in the costume, beating up criminals, all that. So, I mean, it's a fun episode to watch. There's not really anything that made me say, like, ooh, that was a bad episode. Just the context of having a filler episode, literally when the show should have been 5 episodes longer, a little bit frustrating, to say the least. Number 6, episode 9, Straight to Hell. Little bit frustrated with the finale. There are so many things I loved here. We get to see Matt and the Punisher, Matt and Frank, up on full. They're cranked up to 11. They're doing their thing. Frank's killing people. It's awesome to see. You get to have the chemistry between Charlie Cox and John Bernthal. And it's just really fun to see that in that aspect. Along the same lines, we get Karen back. It's so nice to see Karen here. And it kind of felt more like the vibe that we know and love from the original run of Daredevil. There's some cool action sequences here. There was a sequence where Kingpin literally takes someone's jaw and completely dislocates it in blood, gore, like we've never seen before Disney MCU, which was pretty awesome to see. Frustrating thing here, while there's so many things that were awesome about the show, it made me realize that the entire season 1 was a setup for a season 2. I'm telling you what, it is a little bit frustrated when I'm watching a season, I'm waiting for the actual plot to kick in, and right near the end of the season, the plot finally starts to kick in, and lo and behold, the show ends on a cliffhanger. Oh, we gotta fight Kingpin now. The show was finally getting a plot. And the fact that we got the plot now, and then the show ended, and we have to wait another year to get the resolution of that plot, puts an insanely sour taste in my mouth. Everything cool about this episode just kind of goes down the drain. The fact that it's a finale that doesn't finalize anything. I'm all here for cliffhangers. Get it? I'm all here to wait. Across the Spider-Verse, probably my favorite movie of all time. And we still haven't got beyond the Spider-Verse. Doesn't sour the fact that that movie is great. Because the movie's great. This episode is frustrating because the fact that we don't get a story. We don't get any satisfying payoff. We don't get anything that of substance throughout the entire show. And it just ends and says, oh yeah, to get something even more, you're going to have to wait a little longer. So while the episode starts off really cool, while there's some amazing things in this episode, ends up being really frustrating, the way the show ended, and ended up souring the show's entire taste, in my opinion. Number 5, episode 4, Sic Semper Systema. I think I'm saying that last name right. It's a good episode. Thing is, I don't really remember anything that happened in the episode besides the sequence where Frank and Matt meet up. Where that one sequence where he's like, did Foggy get life? Or trying to tell Matt that that's why he kills. Because there's people like Bullseye who's still alive while Foggy is dead. That's an amazing sequence. That's probably a top 3 sequence in this entire show, which is why it's up at episode 5. Thing is, for the life of me, I really can't remember anything else that happened in that episode. I remember being a little bit, disappointed by the episode. I never really thought that it was as amazing as a lot of people said it was. I just always thought loving that one sequence didn't make up for an entire episode. So, hard to talk about because I don't really remember anything that happened in this episode. It's probably the only episode that I don't remember anything that happened in it. Not a good sign when the episode literally came out a month ago. Number 4, episode 6, Excessive Force. This is the episode that finally, after 6 long episodes of waiting, we finally get Matt in the suit. We finally get Daredevil stuff. A little bit bizarre that we get 3 episodes of Daredevil being Daredevil in Daredevil's show. Again, to my frustrating opinions of the fact that the show doesn't use its time and its episodes wisely. Anyways, this is a good episode. We finally get to see Matt in the costume. We get to see Muse full front and center. Find out he's a serial killer. He's using his victim's blood as his paint. He's the one doing all these murals across New York. And Hector O'Reilly's niece goes to investigate, and she gets kidnapped by Muse. Daredevil has to suit up. We get a fight. Doesn't measure anywhere near to where the earlier seasons of Daredevil were, but the fight was still pretty good. The fight was fine. It didn't disappoint me or anything. It was a generic, fun fight. So, we also get to see Kingpin. He's starting up this task force, which I think was probably my favorite part of the show, was the fact that Kingpin is starting up a task force to stop vigilantes, and I think that's particularly interesting inside of the season. So, good episode. Again, a little bit frustrating that it takes 6 episodes to actually get Matt in the suit. Before I dive into my top 3, make sure, again, to go down below the comment section. What are your opinions on the entire show of Daredevil Born Again? And how would you rank the episodes? I would love to know all that and more down below in the comment section. And stay tuned for the Daredevil Seasons Ranked video coming very, very soon. Number 3, Episode 8, Isle of Joy. Now, this is an interesting one for me. If you don't know the backstory, I'm kind of gonna go to a brief version of the backstory because I've said it in numerous other videos. The show had a completely different showrun and completely different everything that was planning on doing something completely different, kind of rebooting Daredevil, having the same cast, kind of like a fan cast, but not continuing off of the original run of Daredevil. And then it kind of got a creative overhaul. New people came in, tried to restructure the show. Episode 8 is where the people came in and started restructuring the show. So it has a very different tone than the rest of the season. It actually has style and doesn't feel like Disney Daredevil. And that's something I love. I thought this episode was great because we get that distinct style. There's actual sauce here by the directors of this episode. There's some cool action sequences in here. We get Matt actually finding out why Foggy was killed, finding out that it was actually Vanessa that hired that. We get to see Dex full front and center, where he spits out a tooth at a guard, again using his power set, making everything a weapon, and able to escape. And we don't get any closure to that in episode 9, which is a little bit frustrating, but still cool to see Dex again. We get a scene of Matt and Dex inside the prison, talking to each other. Always great to see those two, and kind of an intense sequence there. And so just because it has such a better style, the style here was better, I believe. And it actually started to have a story until we went into episode 9, and this ended up not feeling like the entire show had anything of substance. I do think episode 8 was one of the better episodes of Daredevil Born Again. Number 2, episode 7, Art for Art's Sake. This is going to be a big hot take because a lot of people were frustrated with this episode because of the fact that the way Muse was treated in the show. Now, I'm an on and off comic reader. I'm not really familiar with the Daredevil comics, not really familiar with the Muse character outside of this show, so I wasn't too bothered by the way he was handled, and I thought it was really good. This is also the episode where we actually get to see Daredevil doing Daredevil things. It's not about, oh, is he going to be Daredevil? Is he not going to be Daredevil? He is officially being Daredevil. It's the first episode about that, where Muse is one of the kids that Matt's girlfriend, Heather, is talking to about mental health and all that, being the therapist, and he ends up taking over her studio, going to use her in some elaborate serial killer plan. Matt comes in, saves the day. We get a much better fight. I do like this fight better than I did like the fight in episode 6 between the two. And then eventually Heather shoots Muse, which a lot of people had an issue with. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with the character, so wasn't too bothered by that sequence. So I do think that this was a really good episode. I do think episode 7 was a really good episode. We also get to see the task force officially being used. So, good episode. I really did like episode 7, and it's one of my favorites. But by far, my favorite episode of Daredevil Born Again, episode 3, The Hollow of His Hand. This was kind of in the vein of episodes 1 and 2, where Matt is still being the lawyer guy. He's still working Hector Orales' case. You have Matt still trying to convince Hector that telling people that he's the White Tiger could get him out of jail. And that's exactly what he does. So you kind of get that sense of heroism. You get that sense of victory. Oh, snap. Out of all this corrupted system, all the corrupted cops, he's actually free. Hector's finally free. And then at the end of the episode, you think you're finally getting, oh, snap, we're getting the White Tiger stuff finally. And then you get him getting shot in the back of the head. Which, just such defeat. You get the sense of victory, sense of defeat, and that sense that we got in the original run of Daredevil. The run of Daredevil where you know this is a corrupted city. That's where I started to feel the actual sense of the original show. The actual sense that this is Daredevil, the city's corrupt, that's what happens. And so I thought episode 3 was amazing. My jaw was on the floor the entire show, or this entire episode. So I still think out of all these episodes, I still think it's the one that personally I did love the most. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Go down below in the comment section. Tell me what is your ranking of the Daredevil episodes. Stay tuned for the Daredevil season's ranked video. And with that said, subscribe.